All right, folks, how you doing? So I thought I would kind of give my thoughts on the blow up in the Oval Office, between Zelensky and Vance and Trump. Well, there's a lot to take away from that. I mean, I stand by what I said before about Donald Trump being an upper lesser type B. And what does that B stand for? Bellicose, belligerent, bullying, bullish. Yeah, very much so. And the thing that HG often says, which no one else is pointing out about narcissists, is they often employ coterie members as attack dogs. And you can kind of see that with JD Vance. I don't know what he is. I haven't asked. I haven't been particularly interested, but you notice that JD was the man who kind of instigated this whole tension in the Oval Office. But it really started before that, with Zelensky showing up, dressed almost like I'm dressed right now. I'm in my pajamas recording this at 6:49 in the morning. So I'm not at the Oval Office. I'm not meeting with the president, so I'm allowed to be in my pajamas. I'm sitting in my own house. But, if you show up to the White House dressed as Zelensky was dressed, Trump's going to notice. And you notice he belittled him. That's another one of the B's that stands for, belittling. All narcissists do that. And Trump is very much a narcissist. Trump is one of the most obvious narcissists that you'll ever see, And look, he dressed up for the occasion, as in, why the fuck are you showing up to my house dressed in your pajamas? You should be wearing a suit. You're meeting with me. You're meeting with the president of the United States. What the fuck are you doing? If you're reading between the lines. But yeah, JD Vance was he very much had Trump's back, and he was being almost more aggressive with Zelensky than Trump was being, well, not almost. Initially, he was being a lot more aggressive. But this is something that I picked up on that HG often says, that narcissists have their coterie members, their attack dogs. Often it's more advanced narcissists than what Trump is, like mid-rangers or graders. But I suppose upper lesser type Bs can have that as well. Very interesting. But another thing as well, where Zelensky really fucked up, was continuing to talk over Trump and not letting Trump talk. You have to let the narcissist have the spotlight when you're dealing with them. If you don't, it will go exactly as how you saw. It was like the presidential debate between Biden and Trump. You have to let Trump talk if you're dealing with him. You have to let him, thunder and blunder and, say his piece and all the rest. The only successful way to deal with Trump, or any narcissist for that matter, whether they're on his level or any other, unless you're talking about a grader here, and graders are very rare, you have to let them talk. Let them say their piece. You can say your piece after they've spoken, but don't fucking interrupt. Shut up. Let them talk. Let them get it out of their system, off their chest. Then you say it. But you have to let them have the spotlight. It's subconscious with 99% of them because they're lesser or mid-range. But when they are talking, shut the fuck up. Shh. Zip it. Let them speak. So Zelensky really fucked up by continuing to interrupt President Trump, particularly JD Vance as well, but especially in Trump's case, let him ramble, let him get it off his chest. Then you say what you have to say afterwards. But that shouldn't just apply with narcissists. That should apply across the board with anyone. I was talking to someone yesterday who was going on and on and on about shit I wasn't interested in. I didn't interrupt. I just sat patiently, quietly, letting them speak, get all their spiel out. Then I asked the questions after they were quiet, because this person was going on and on about all this stuff I didn't care about. But, it's just good social etiquette, social grace, just let them go on for a few minutes and, just let them get it off their chest, But a lot of the thing about upper lesser type Bs is they don't stray too far from the truth. A lot of what Trump was saying was true. Ukraine is in bad shape. It is really in bad shape, in terms of their manpower problem. And as Pop has said repeatedly, the Russian system is to slug it out. It's ground and pound. Their type of warfare is very much that of attrition, and that favors them. That's how they defeated the Nazis during the Second World War. They just outlasted them. In the initial years between 1941 and 42, up to 43, up to a point, I'd say the Battle of Kursk was the turn. But, the Russians tried to fight the Nazis head on. advantage Nazis because of their blitzkrieg tactics. But once they slowed down and dragged it out and turned into a slog, turned it into a brawl, just a straight up slugfest, a war of attrition. That's where the Russians specialize. That's where they do well. That is how they started to defeat the Germans during the Second World War. That's how they flipped it after Kursk. They slowed it down, you know, ground and pound, slug it out, a war of attrition. This is how the Russians win wars, and they're very good at it. I mean, Russia has a long history with warfare. They know how to fight. They're the toughest white people on the planet, as King Boomer once said. You have to, if you get in a slugfest with the Russians, you have to win it early, or you're not going to win at all. If they are able to drag it out, they will win, unquestionably, because that's their style, and they're very good at it, and they have perfected the art of war in that regard. So Trump is right. You do need to make a deal, and you do need to get it over and done with. And unquestionably, he's sincere, because upper lesser type Bs are many things, but they're not liars in the sense that they're trying to deceive people. You could argue that they're liars and that they live in their own little deluded fantasy world of, the land of chocolate. Um, they do live in their reality rather than reality. I've said this before with narcissists, that they don't live in the real world with you and I. They live in their world and their headspace. But if you're negotiating with them, you have to know that. You have to realize that going in and operate accordingly. So Zelenskyy really didn't do himself any favors, and he fucked it up from the start by not dressing appropriately. He almost looked like me. You don't show up to the fucking White House dressed like that. That indicates right away that you're not taking this fucking seriously. And even one of the reporters pointed it out to him, "Don't you want a suit?" Which I thought was fantastic. If you're showing up to the meet of the President of the United States, wear a fucking suit. Fucking obviously. What the fuck are you doing? And then when Trump's trying to say his thing, shut the fuck up. Let him talk. The thing is Zelenskyy didn't come across well either. I'm pretty sure he's a narcissist. I don't know, by the way, because I've never asked HG Tutor, and I've never seen him say either way. But he was behaving a lot like one would, but it could just be the stress of the situation, because we all have narcissistic characteristics and we all have narcissistic traits. All of us do, including myself. I have a lot of narcissistic traits, and I'll be the first to say that. I'm not a narcissist, I think. I would certainly hope I'm not. But, we all have those traits. But, dress accordingly. When you're meeting with the president, when he's talking, be quiet. That was Zelensky's biggest fuck up, was trying to talk over Trump. And is this because he was able to steamroll over Biden when he was in office? Very likely. Very likely. I would say that was the case. And a lot of other world leaders are quite weak, especially European leaders. And he's able to kind of, as JD Vance said, roll out his propaganda films and all the rest, which is not to belittle what the Ukrainian people are going through, but if I was Zelenskyy, I'd probably do something similar, or possibly even the same thing. If I'm fighting a desperate war against a superpower like Russia, I'm going to rely heavily on propaganda, to get other world leaders on side. But as Trump pointed out, you don't hold the cards in this situation when you're fighting Russia. You're going to need your allies to have your back, because you're fighting the biggest dog in the yard. And, Russia is no joke when it comes to its military. I mean, they're just fighting the type of warfare that suits them, to be perfectly honest. A lot of people think that Russia is weak in this war. No, this is the style that they perfected during the Great Patriotic War. Once they switched to this style of ground and pound and slogging it out slowly over time, the more it favors them. So another thing that nobody has pointed out either, Zelenskyy was acting like he was coked up, and I had heard Gonzalo Lira say, or somebody else, possibly more than, I can't remember who said it. Was it Gonzalo? Coach Red Pill, before what happened to him, the coke head of Kiev. I heard somebody say it. I'm pretty sure it was Gonzalo Lira. I don't remember offhand. It was possibly him and somebody else. But do you notice during the meeting, he's all twitchy like this? He's sitting forward in his chair like this, and he's not letting Vance or Trump get a word in edgeways. He's constantly kind of like looking around like this, and you know, you got a cold there, Mr. Zelensky. You know, do you need an aspirin? So let me tell you, Mr. Trump, I'm taking this very seriously. And how's no one else picked up on this? He looked like he'd been, it looked like he was coked up. You notice no other world leaders when they're meeting with Trump act that way. They're not all sitting forward like this, their chairs like all fidgety and all this. I'm not an expert in this. I've never taken cocaine. I've never even been around anyone who's taken cocaine. But if even I can fucking spot it, then how come nobody else has? He looked like he was coked out of his fucking gourd, you know? Oh, Mr. President, I have to make this point. You're dealing with Trump. Everyone knows what Trump is like. He's the most obvious narcissist on the fucking planet. Shut up and let him talk. That's rule number one. Let him bluster and say his spiel, and then afterwards, you talk when he shuts up. But he's looking at him. Well, go back and watch it. Literally, go back and watch it, especially towards the end when he's getting agitated. Like this. With his nose. I'm the only one who noticed this, and instantly when I'm watching it, without any other commentators, just straight out watching it, I'm thinking, my God, he's touching his nose an awful lot. you know. And you can kind of understand it, that he's under a lot of pressure. He's at the White House. He's talking to the president. He wants to, but another thing as well is the way he handled it is very unpolitical. And you might jump down my throat in a comment saying, but look at Trump. He wasn't like a politician either. Yeah, but Trump is fucking Trump. Everyone who knows what Trump is, who Trump is. But, look at all the other heads of state who've sat in the Oval Office over the last short while, Macron and Starmer and all the rest, and Yahoo, or who's the king of Jordan, I don't know. But, compare their behavior to Zelensky's. I mean, they're not behaving like a statesman. He's trying to talk over Vance and Trump, and he kept shutting them down and slapping them down. Yeah, because you're talking to two of the most powerful people in the fucking world. Read the goddamn room. Shut the fuck up. But yeah, Zelensky's really fucked this up. I don't know how he's going to recover from this, honestly. And Trump came out afterwards and said, I want to make a deal. I want to make peace. What was the name of his first book? I think it was his first, or certainly his most best-selling book, The Art of the Deal. What is Donald Trump defined by? The art of the deal. And I've said this before about this type of narcissist, upper lesser type B. They like to make deals. They're not lower lessers or middle lessers, upper lesser B. Upper lesser B. They prefer to make deals, negotiated deals. They don't really have the stomach for a full-drawn fight, and they don't want to fight. They like to bully people into doing what they want, but they don't actually want to fight. So when Trump says that he wants a negotiated peace, that is absolutely the case. Now, he does sometimes fuck up and say dumb things, but as I said before, I go back to this. He lives in his reality. He doesn't live in reality like everyone else. He lives very much in his own head and his own constructed reality. But that doesn't mean that he's wrong. It doesn't mean he's wrong about what he says or what he wants to do. Oftentimes, a lot of the time, he's actually speaking the truth, not just his truth, but actually the truth. Then when he says that this war needs to end, it's dragged on for far too fucking long, he's right. Peace needs to come, and I don't know how the fuck Zelensky is going to unfuck this one. He really fucked this up, Trump does need to be a little bit coddled, to be honest with you. His detractors and his critics who say that he is a man baby who throws tantrums, something, they're right. But you know what else he is? He's the president of the United fucking States, and you have to fucking deal with him. Plain and simple. He's in the Oval Office right now. Trump is somebody you need to know how to handle. And Zelensky really doesn't know how to handle him. Putin, on the other hand, Putin is a greater narcissist. He knows how to play Trump like a fiddle. He knew how to play Biden like a fiddle, how to play Obama like a fiddle. Well, maybe not so much Obama. Obama's also a greater narcissist, so that would have been interesting. I mean, you talk about being two serpents, so it kind of cancels each other out. But Putin knows how to, watch. If there's a meeting between Trump and Putin in the next few weeks, watch the difference between the cokehead of Kiev, Mr. I can't stop touching my nose, and Putin, who has been like the king of Russia for decades, and there's a reason for that. You know, Putin is a greater narcissist. You want to talk about a smooth criminal? This all just kind of popped into my head. You know, smooth criminal. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, that sums up President Putin to a T. Which is not to say that I'm praising him. I'm just pointing out what he is, a greater narcissist. He has been the king of that country for God only knows how long at this time. And I'll tell you something. I never met a Russian who actually likes Putin. But I'll tell you what, they fucking respect him. They wouldn't dare say it to his face. Anyway, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you the next time.